What's going on, sports fans? We continue our coverage of high school football, high school everything with nothing. We're all just talking to athletes as they sit around and grow beards out of boredom, like Teagan Bultman here from Torrey Pines lacrosse. Thank you very much for joining us. If you could just tip the bill down a little bit and we could see the top of the hat. There, he's committed to go play at Brown. So, my man, thank you. How have you been?
I've been great. How about yourself?
Bored. A little bit bored. It was fun. It was like the throwbacks and all that were fun for a couple days, and I get it. Like, you know, we're all kind of in the same boat, but I'm getting a little antsy. I'm like, let's get like, give me golf back. Just one guy standing on one hole. Yes.
Just give me anything. I'll take baseball. I'll take anything at this point.
Well, I'm trying to practice good, safe social distancing. I'll take, let's do high school golf where we just have one golfer per hole and we'll just live stream it and we'll all get our sports fix somehow.
it'll get some kind of endorphins in. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, it would be the Torrey Pines LCC rivalry, which I do want to ask you about, would look very different when you're all just silently golf clapping over an Instagram live feed. A little tear to all of our eyes there. So you are playing you play lacrosse at Torrey Pines. You're going on to Brown. Let's start with that. Talk about your decision, what that process was like for you.
So that process, that's something crazy that I've really started to look back on now with all this time kind of, and I was really starting to think about it. That's a process that happened for me when I was 14 years old. And it was my freshman year, first semester, and I was really making life-changing decisions at 14. And when I look back on it now, I was like, wow, I really made the best choice for myself. And I think that was one of the greatest things that I've held on to, really just one positive that I pulled out of this entire, quarantine was definitely that. Hey, I'm really thankful that I'm going to have this opportunity next year.
So
even with everything going on.
So lacrosse recruiting is becoming more widespread, becoming more common. We're starting to see players like yourselves from the West Coast going back east. I'm a Syracuse alum, so I have a little bit of an affinity for this sport that other people don't necessarily have in San Diego.
Right.
But recruiting-wise, that makes it a little bit different. It's not something where just instinctively East Coast programs say, oh, we trust West Coast talent all the time. So, I mean, for the younger kids out there that want to pursue lacrosse in college, want to get those opportunities, what's some advice that you might give to them?
Oh, I think that one of the greatest things that I was always told is, some of the East Coast kids that they're not as athletic, they're just better at lacrosse. And what I've always understood, I never understood about that is well, if they're just better at lacrosse and we're more athletic, how does that work? And well, it's just their work ethic, how much they put into playing lacrosse compared to us, where, I think being out here where there's a lot of multi-sport athletes. And I think back there they focus more on, lacrosse or whatnot. And I mean, yeah, granted they do play more sports, but I think it's the work ethic, how much they really put into each sport that they do. And the outcome is really true. And what you see back here, and I've played with a ton of athletes, top recruits, and the really good ones are the ones that just grind and they play hard, they practice hard, and they come in every single day ready to work.
So you mentioned play hard, practice hard. I've seen it firsthand with your program and kind of the rough and tumble nature of lacrosse in general at that higher up level. But for you, what maybe is a misconception about lacrosse that people always kind of hit you with?
Misconception? I think that
because it's way more physical and tough of a game than I think a lot of people give it credit for.
Definitely. I think that, a big misconception is that people just don't really understand it and they don't really give it a try in the first place. Is when they watch it, it's kind of like, what are they doing? What's going on? And, I think that's a big part. Is you really just have to understand it.
I mean, I always advocate to everybody, go check out any lacrosse you can. But yeah, if you go to some of the Torrey Pines playoff games the last couple of years, and I know that those both bring up happy memories and tough memories on both ends of the spectrum. But, you guys have been down 3 or 4 goals in an open division championship and come back to erase that in epic fashion. You've been up a couple goals and have had that erased on you in 2 minutes in a fourth quarter. Like, this sport is so fast paced and it's so enjoyable. So I advocate for a lot of people out there. Let's go inside the Torrey Pines little sphere a little bit, if you will. The rivalry between you guys and LCC is already a natural school thing. But I think that your specific edition of it, the guys and girls lacrosse version, I put it in like the top 5 rivalries across the board in all high school sports in San Diego. So tell us a little bit of what that intensity is like for you guys or circling around that game.
Oh, that's the one that's circled on our calendars. Everybody's thinking about that one. You know, we have that one posted all over the walls in school, and you know, it's. I'm really bummed that, you know, I won't be able to play in it this year. And
so, okay, wait, let me ask you this. Is there a potential reality where you guys at LCC just like meet up on a field somewhere and be like, we got to settle this. Like, we can't, like, that's how I have this, that's how intense I have this rivalry pictured in my mind, is that you guys will just meet up with them in an empty field somewhere and be like, to hell with quarantine, we're getting this game in.
I think at all costs, that's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, it's going to come down to saving the U.S. economy and making sure that we get enough medical personnel together that we can have this game played, because you can't skip an edition and leave one team with bragging rights for too long.
For first to 15, and we call it.
Deal. Yeah. No, I like this even more. Just first goal wins. We'll be nice. Yeah, we'll be safe and distant from each other. We'll all just kind of pass around first goal wins and we'll go home, back into self-isolation. What can you tell? I mean, there's got to be a funny story about Coach Sissy. Like, that man, when you're leading that many Division I athletes in that kind of high stakes environment, there has to be something fun you can tell us about him.
I mean, I think he's a kid in himself. I mean, he's a grown little kid. I think that's the greatest thing about him, is like, he loves to just, you know, that's what he makes our. Let me bring this back to you, Christian. Like, he makes our culture so great, like, at Torrey, because he's basically a part of us, and that's what he loves to do, and he's very good at it, and he becomes, you know, somebody that we just respect, and we like look up to him for the answers, and he gives us to him, but he makes us earn it, and you know, he does it in a great way, and it's because he's so close to us, and he's just, like I said, he's a grown little boy, he's a grown little kid, and like. He's just like a part of us.
Well, and I see him on the sidelines in some of these open division games, and you realize that he is very much riding that emotional roller coaster with the players and the teams, but he's not able to get out there and help it. So you feel bad for him and all the coaches sometimes, because you'll see, you know, the body language, he's kind of like, roll the crease a little. So I'm totally with you there, that you'll see the body language, and it's awesome to see, but I cannot imagine the amount of stress that it has to come with just that expectation that every single year it's open division or bust.
Oh, yeah, but that's what he lives for. I mean, there's no diamonds without pressure.
Okay, I like that. First cliche of the day. Ding!
That's what he lives on. That's his DNA.
I completely agree with you. And also, in the world of high school lacrosse here in San Diego, it's a pretty small circle for you guys, I'm assuming, with the LCC, cathedral, bishops, circles that you all play against each other in the off season anyway, so you all know each other's tendencies, and it just makes it that much more intense.
Yeah, absolutely. Wait, what was the question?
There was no question. I was just kind of commenting out of that, and then I was gonna ask you. You do occasionally see some of the more talented multi-sport athletes across San Diego, like Tyler Buckner right now, the big football commit, is a huge lacrosse guy. Occasional.
I heard he was playing at Helix next year. Is that right?
Football wise, yes. I don't think he's going to be playing any more lacrosse, from what I've heard. But also at Bishops, there was Isaiah Wooden a couple years ago who made that crossover from football to lacrosse and stuff. And I think it's amazing, like you said, all these athletes, great athletes at every sport. So if I had to ask you, based off just how good you are at lacrosse and how physical you are, do you think we could make that translation in reverse, that all lacrosse players, like if we took the Torrey Pines lacrosse team, would you guys be good at football as a football team? Would you guys be good as a basketball team?
So yeah, we've definitely talked about this. Some of the guys that I'm friends with, like the senior class, So none of the guys on the lacrosse team, I think there was only, 2 or 3 that played football. But that's just because, they were focusing on other stuff or whatever and didn't want to risk injury. But there just wasn't a lot. And we were saying, well, if all of our senior class played on the football team this year?
No, I'm just saying if we took your lacrosse team and made them the football team, you guys have enough goons and good athletes, right?
We have ton. Oh yeah, we're heavy on athletes like that. We'd be good. We'd be up there.
And so that's why I was kind of asking because Isaiah Wooden specifically played cornerback. We got a ton of people asking us, where did this guy come from? Why is no one ever recruited him in football? And you're like, he's not a football player. He's just so instinctively good at playing defensive back and sticking on a guy because he's a midfielder in lacrosse and he knows how to do that. And so it always opened my mind to like lacrosse players low key are kind of like water polo players. They're versatile. They're good at everything. And they're a little bit detached from reality and a little suicidal.
Well, I mean, that's what lacrosse is. I mean, it's a combination of a bunch of sports is what it seems like. And when you have guys that are Dewey Egan, 6'5", and, sprints, like a 4 or 5, and, he's ridiculously, athletic for who he is and what his size is. And it's like those guys are he could be in the NFL if he wanted to.
Is the craziest guy on the team the goalie, though?
I'm sorry?
Is the craziest guy on any lacrosse team a goalie, though? Because they wear nothing, right? Like, they're just out there with like, oh, we don't even want to wear sweatpants. We're just going to wear shorts.
I don't know what they eat in the morning to, like, get in the goal and take shots at 90
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Like, they're legitimately crazy people.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, so to those of you who are uninitiated to lacrosse, if you have a friend that plays it, ask them what position they play. If they say goalie, take a step back. Make sure you're safe within their vicinity because they're a little bit
take an extra 6 feet back.
Yes, an extra. Yeah, stay 12 feet away from the goalies right now because they're not safe people to be around. Oh, it's amazing. I saw one a couple years ago. The Cathedral Catholic kid took a shot right off his kneecap, dislocates his knee, and he's like, "Can you pop it back in? I got to go back." I'm like, "Oh wow." Most football players would be like, "Can I take a play off?"
Yeah, man, that's awesome though. That shows great grit.
But yeah, just that in general attitude, I think, is why everyone needs to go check out lacrosse. So look, we're gonna keep our fingers crossed that we have a little bit of the season left. If not, what's some of the stuff that you've been doing to kill the downtime?
Right now I've just been hitting up the field, just trying to stay in tune with it, trying not to fall too much in that. Hey, this is over. I'm trying to stay positive, just trying to stay with it. And if it comes back, it's like, hey, I'm coming back better. I think that's the attitude. That's what's going on moving forward. I think we've also we've sent that down. I think our entire team has heard the message as well. So I think that we're all doing individual workouts, and so I think that's really great.
Well, hopefully like I said, we'll get at least one more game. If not, we'll help everybody live stream that street game between you guys and LCC. Teagan, thank you so much for being on with us, my man.
Thank
Folks,
you for having me.
Keep the positive vibes going. We're going to hope that we have a little bit more of this high school season, but stay safe, stay distant, stay 12 feet away from lacrosse goalies, and we'll talk to you guys soon.